Hello there, this is Cindy at cindybdesigns.com. Thank you for joining me today. The card on the left is my sample. The card on the right is what we are going to be creating. As you can see, they're the exact same things, and this is made from the October 2020 paper pumpkin kit of Joy to the World. This is a Christmas kit, and I did not use it at all. When I first saw it, all I thought was Valentine's Day right off the bat. So again, that is my sample. And that's what that looks like inside, and from leftover card scraps that I had. That is the envelope from the kit, and I'm bringing in, always in my heart, that sentiment I'll be pointing to shortly, just for the inside that you saw earlier. And then we have our dog heart punch. I have a cherry cobbler cube, and then we have our in color enamel dots for this year, and the cardstock that we will be using. And I have no idea what I'm doing now because I'm doing the voiceover a couple days later, but that is the kit, and what it looks like, that is the directions and alternative ideas that come enclosed in the kit. So I'm going to choose my materials right now, and I'm grabbing those two punch out flowers. Everything is already done for me there. I cut that strip off from what I'm holding right now in my hands, just for scratch, and I'm pulling out the more rather than the other love that is in there. So again, I pulled out another envelope. Our cardstock is going to be top folding A2, 4 1/4 across by 5 1/2 down, and I just shoved the inside materials in there. And we have a basic black matte True Love Designer Series paper and a piece of vellum cardstock. All the measurements, everything will be over on the blog at cindybdesigns.com. There's a direct link in this YouTube description, and I'll mention the measurements throughout this card as well. So right now what I want to do is just go ahead and get my mats adhered to my card base. So again, that is True Love Designer Series paper. That is going to be 3 3/8 across by 4 5/8 down. Now the 3/8 inch of a mark is going to be the halfway point in between the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch, and then the 5/8 will be halfway in between the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 mark. And you'll see that on your ruler, and especially your Stampin trimmer. I did not speed this video up at all because I have my Acron holder and everything for YouTube lives. I'm going to try, I think around, I wrote it down, the 27th of January, and since this is less than 15 minutes, or right around the 15-minute mark, this project here, I don't want to go longer than that in Facebook Lives, but I probably will, because I know that I only have 15 minutes to talk right now, so maybe I'll give myself like a half hour. So I have all that adhered with snail, and I'm going to lay it down on our soft seafoam card base, sending it top to bottom and left to right. So back to the YouTube live thing, it's probably going to be around a half hour because I'm going to be seeing your comments and everything on screen, and I want it to be interactive and be able to respond back to you. But that piece, I'm going to go back and forth. That piece of cardstock is vellum, and that is 3 inches across by 3 1/2 down. And I'm centering that top to bottom, left to right. And I was looking for my painter's tape to keep that down. Can't find it, or at least it's the little piece I had. So I had to pull another one off, and I'm going to go ahead and lay that down. But from here on out, the rest of the card is, okay, I'm going to back up real quick again. With a new piece of painter's tape, I stick it on my hand and try to get as much sticky as I can off of it, because when I pull it off, I don't want it ripping my cardstock. So I'm going to set that aside for right now, our card base there, and I'm going to pull in the dog punch, and then punch out those 2 little teeny tiny hearts with the gold foil paper that's included in the paper pumpkin kit. I wanted to try the heart with the hugs and kisses that you originally saw that I put on the inside of the card. It was just too big for it wasn't scale like I wanted to see it for the outside of the card. So I went ahead and punched those hearts out, and now I'm grabbing glue dots from that same paper pumpkin kit, and I'm going to go ahead and lay them on the back of our little gold foil hearts. So like I said, I'm going to go back and forth between, getting this assembled with you and talking about Facebook Lives. And I'm going to try it for a couple weeks just to see what your feedback is, what you would rather see me do. I do know I can edit the videos afterwards and then upload them to YouTube. But you can always, if you can't join in live, you can always, always, always catch the replay. And like I said a couple weeks ago, I was researching YouTube Live as well, but I don't know. So I am putting on 5 full-size Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of both of those die cuts from the October 2020 paper pumpkin kit. And you're going to be seeing this video on the 23rd of January, which means you will have until March 10th to subscribe for the March paper pumpkin kit. And a lot of them have add-ons. Several of them do. I know last year for March's paper pumpkin kit, there was 2 stamp sets included. Not the rainbow, but the rain boots one, and Under the Weather or Under My Umbrella, which I still use. Fantastic. I love it. So it's something to kick around because I'm always incorporating my embellishment sequins or whatever from the majority of my paper pumpkin kits. So now I'm, pretty much just arranging our little die cut flowers on the top of our vellum. And I'm going to be using the glue dots from behind the hearts, the Stampin' Dimensionals from behind those die cuts, and the in color enamel dots to keep that vellum down. You can adhere that with an adhesive sheet if you would like, but this stays down and doesn't curl up on you. So it does work out in the long run. So as I'm getting everything adhered down, because that's where we are at this point in time. At the very beginning of this video, you saw my paper pumpkin reference sheets. I put them all on a jump ring and have them right behind me because, like I said, I use a lot of the embellishments on a lot of my cards and always refer back to my little resource guide that I made for myself. So I can find different twine or sequins or whatever that's not in our publications right now, so to speak. But one thing, on my sample card, I had the word love. On this card, I chose amore or amore. It just depends on how you say it, but it's really amore. Don't be afraid to use different languages on your card, friends, that are pretty much universal because everybody knows what amore means, which means love. And this isn't necessarily a Valentine's Day card, but it can be used for one. It could be used for a girlfriend. I'm not even going to go there right now. But, or just send it to a good friend, somebody important in your life. And that is what this is for. The flowers on there, I think for Valentine's Day, that can go like either, that can be gender neutral. So I'm taking the gold hearts now and I'm kind of figuring out, gold hearts, figuring out where to lay them down. And I have to talk like a really long time right now with no interaction because I did not speed this up. Those enamel dots I'm putting down are just jade. And we are like almost all the way done and pretty much, hitting the home stretch within the next 5 minutes. So I'm pulling in my craft mat and my tweezers and I'm going to turn that die cut over and take our multi-purpose liquid adhesive, which is Tombow Mono, and put little teeny tiny glue dots on the back of that. Can you use our fine tip pen? Yes, you can. But with foil elements like this, I prefer the Tombow Mono, because that way if it smears on the front of the foil, I can erase it off with a gum eraser or get a Swiffer cloth and pull it off that way. But with the fine tip glue pen, that is clear, but it's a heavier substance or a weight, and I don't have that wiggle room like I do with a Tombow Mono, so that is why I use that. So now I'm just taking our die cut there and laying that right on top at an angle, as you can see, and that is it. I mean, we are done with the front of the card. And we do the inside of the card this time around too. And that is it. And the insides of my cards, they pretty much always look, not always look the same, you know, but they have the same measurements and everything like that. So I'm going to bring back in our Stamparatus, or not bring it back in, but just bring it in. And I have the sentiment on the lid of the door of the Stamparatus left over from my sample card, and I'm going to go ahead and ink that up with a cherry cobbler cube that I also got in another paper pumpkin. When my sentiments are this small, I like to use a cube instead, because the full-size pad, it can get on your door, especially red. It can be a mess, you know, to clean up. And my cube is getting kind of dry there, so I inked up the inside again. And I'm just going to lay that down again, because you know how I am about my crisp sentiments. And we are looking good there. So as I'm just simply, you know, stamping the inside and adhering everything down, the inside panel is 4 inches across by 5 1/4 down. And now I'm going to lay down like a little teeny tiny 1/4 inch by 4 piece of True Love Designer Series paper. And I did not cut that. Well, I did, but when I do the inside of my cards there, I use my leftover scraps, because that coordination thing, everything absolutely coordinates. And that way I don't have a ton of scraps laying around or anything like that. But as part of my design process, how I think, the colors in this paper pumpkin kit, they were early espresso, just jade, cherry cobbler, basic white. And what I did, you know, part of my thought process when I designed this card was, with the outside flowers, you know, the branches are early espresso, the inside of the flower is the same. And then we have the leaves, the larger ones being soft seafoam, and the ones in the middle being more just jade. And that is how I pulled everything together. I mixed and matched my basic black with the early espresso, because they are in the same color family and close enough to where I could wing it like that. So that is why I chose the black matte and the True Love Designer Series paper, not to mention it's really cool because it's totally black and white. But that's also how I picked my soft seafoam card base too, because that is the lightest color, as you can see right there. Yeah, skip intro. On the flowers at the very bottom on the left and the right hand side, because I had to like adjust my color because there was a blizzard going on when I recorded this. And so now I'm going ahead and putting the inside panel down. But that is like how I pull everything together. And if I blow it like I did with the hugs and kisses with the heart thing, I try to incorporate it all. And that is what we're looking like. So I hope that you enjoyed today's process. Again, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Check my January 13th blog post for the March paper pumpkin, or February's. And we're going to wing it from there. But again, I hope that you enjoyed today's project. Don't forget to join me next week, and have a fantastic weekend.